Hello everyone, welcome to my June Plan With Me video. This month's theme turned out to be more of a collage abstracted beach theme, so if you're following along, I do recommend watching the first part of this video so you don't accidentally make the same mistakes that I did. For this video, I'm using washi tape from the Amanda Rachel collection, as well as the washi tape from Amazon. I'm using craft paper from the dollar store and roll-on glue tape, which I got from the dollar store as well, but really, in that case, any sort of adhesive works. I'm also using the Pigma Micron pens and Zebra Mild Liner highlighters, and all of these products will be linked in the description below. So to get started, I'm writing out the month in the center of the left-hand page using my Pigma Micron pens. And then I went in and ripped a page of craft paper and matched it to the dots of my bullet journal. Once I had this mapped out, I used my glue adhesive and stuck it on in place to make sure it was all Gucci. Usually I use my glue adhesive from Michaels, but this stuff actually works pretty well. It just takes some time to get used to. Here's where I start doodling, and then I completely changed my mind. So I started drawing some simple flowers and then realized that I didn't like that theme and that it was too similar to my May theme, and this is where we started to improvise. So at this point, I envisioned more of like a summer theme and the beach, so I started to sketch out some shells to cover up my flower doodles. This is an easy way to cover up mistakes in your bullet journal if it is a large size, so instead of painting over them or writing over them with a white pen, you can just cut up a piece of paper, cover it up, turn it into a collage, easy peasy. So this is where the construction starts. I had a paper stack from Michaels that I used and cut up random squares out of the blue paper and then layered them with the plain white sheet of paper, washi tape, and doodles of shells I created based on images from Pinterest. I went through and measured the sizes of the sheets to try and effectively cover up my previous doodles. It was important that I went and played with the layering and the collaging to add some texture to the spread. I also added color to the shells themselves and used a light brown watercolor wash on them. And on the reverse cover spread, I'm adding a quote that says, "Creativity comes from a conflict of ideas," which is a quote by Donatella Versace. To, of course, fit with the theme, I'm adding more craft paper and layering to the page with the color paper, shell doodles, and washi tape. I find that this quote really emulates what the struggles I have when bullet journaling, because I always have so many ideas and I see so much on Instagram and Pinterest and all of that I'm like, oh, what theme do I want to go with that isn't too similar to anyone else's, but it's also aesthetically pleasing. Now we're moving on to the calendar spread. I started this spread by adding in the decorative elements first. I added the month vertically from the spread to keep it interesting and different from my previous calendar spreads. with my previous months, I added a habit tracker and painted them in with the light brown shell color. That got darker than the rest, but we're gonna pretend that it didn't. I'm going to go back in and add the days of the month and the house themselves, but you really don't want to sit here and watch me do that. I did notice that within this bullet journal, the paper did wrinkle quite easily when using water. Usually I don't use watercolor within my bullet journals, I use my mild line highlighters instead, but since I did use watercolor, I went in and used another piece of scrap paper just to check that it wouldn't bleed onto the next page. So the next page is a one line a day instead of a monthly playlist that I had in the previous months. If we're being completely honest, it'd probably just be full of Olivia Rodrigo's new songs. Then I went and added the decorative themed elements in the bottom corner and listed the days down the left hand side. If you're following along with a bullet journal that has 38 vertical cells, I had 6 spaces on the top before I started numbering. Now we're starting with the weekly spreads. For this week, I'm creating a primarily vertical spread since this is only 5 days. I added the craft paper and collaging elements in the bottom left corner and then added circles in the watercolor paint. Once I made sure that these were dry, I went in with my micron pens and filled out the numbers in the circles. So this spread here is probably my favorite spread that I created for the month. Like everything else, I started with the dates and the monthly calendar. Then I added the decorative elements. So for consistency, I added the watercolor circles for the days for all of the spreads for this month. Then I added a vernacular circle around the date and wrote out the day of the week. Spread, I added the decorative elements in the bottom of the page and then followed the same process. The next spread is similar to my third weekly spread, where I have the days within the circles and the day of the week beside it, and is also split into quarters, but it doesn't have a note section like the last week did. And now we have the last weekly spread. Similar layout and everything, with 4 days on one half of the page and then decorative elements at the bottom. On the reverse page, I added a halfway gold checker since somehow we're already halfway through 2021. I'm going to be using this page to reference what I put in the beginning of my bullet journal for 2021 in terms of goals, and just to check where I'm at. I didn't film my own bullet journal setup, but I did film a flip through of my friend's bullet journal setup. I also realized that I needed another shell, so I added one more and colored it in like I had done off camera with my previous ones. So without further ado, here's my final flip through. Once again, thanks for watching. I had a fun time creating this spread for this month. If you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe if you haven't already. If you know someone who's into bullet journaling and is looking for monthly spread ideas, tell them this video. Again, all the products that I used are linked below. Thanks for watching!